Beams.
Hello.
So when people are asking questions or they are making comments, like in the live chat, how would I be able to know?
So, maybe
Beams.
both of us will be here to. That's true. We will use another phone to join the live and just be reading it.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
So when people are asking questions or they are making comments, like in the live chat, how would I be able to know?
That's why I said we'll use another
So
device. Maybe both of us will be here to. That's true. We will use another phone to join the live and just be reading it.
hello.
Can you hear me?
When people are asking questions or they are making comments, like in
Because of
the live chat, how would I be able to know?
That's why I said we'll use another
So
device. Maybe both of us will be here to. That's true. We will use another phone to join the live.
Guys are live now.
Yes, we know. We're using it to test and all of that. So you can send.
Yeah, when they come back.
People can start joining.
Okay. Then let me push out the email then.
Okay.
Guys are live now.
Yes, we know. We're using it to test and all of that. So it's funny. You can send.
Yeah, when they come back.
People can start joining. Let me mute me.
Stuff is real pain. I can't be muted because I have to talk. But your sound has to, like, you have to reduce your sound so it won't sound like what I'm saying now. Do you get? It's not supposed to sound. So it's not supposed to sound.
I'm surprised.
No, it's not muting your mic. Receiving. Do you get? Yes, receiving. You know, if you are still receiving, it will still sound. Check has not sent. Check has not sent.
Hi, Crystal. Just how
Good
are you?
afternoon. I'm fine, thank you.
All right. I've been in the waiting room for YouTube, or should I just join Zoom?
No. Yes, ma. You're supposed to join Zoom now.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
I'll
ma.
try to
Thank
access
you.
it.
Thank
Okay.
you. Hello there, good afternoon. It's starting right about now. Apologies for the little delay. We apologize for starting right behind time. Okay, so we have our audience watching from YouTube. We are excited.
Hello there, good afternoon. It's starting right about now.
Okay. So we're excited to host this International Women's Day event. And we have our guests streaming in from YouTube. So we'll just have a little intro with seeing our services as Apex Web Network Limited while we give the admin time to finish the setup. We apologize for starting behind time. Good afternoon. My name is Priscilla Folayemi. So we are right about now starting the International Women's Day event of Apex Web Network. So if you can see the screen, you can see what we do at Apex Web Network. And Apex Web Network is an all-inclusive organization, and it has spurred us to, have this event because I mean, what better time to have an event like this showcasing gender equality, showcasing inclusiveness, showcasing inclusion even in Nigeria. I mean, we all know what's going on in the country, but that's not why we are here. We're here to promote equality. We're here to talk about how well we should, push for gender equality, how well we should, come together as women, what we need to do, how we need to bridge that gender gap to making for, a sustainable equality in the workplace and, everywhere around us. So on this event, we are going to be having two amazing speakers who have honored us with their presence here today. So we have our audience streaming in from YouTube, and we are so excited to have you all here with us today. And I'm just going to go through the profile of our first guest before we bring her on to, share with us. So our first guest is Dr. Funmi Adeniyi. Dr. Funmi Adeniyi. So I'm going to go through our profile. Dr. Funmi Adeniyi is an astute dentist with more than 14 years of experience in private dental care and the health healthcare industry. She holds a Bachelor of Dental Surgery degree from the prestigious College of Medicine, University of Lagos, Nigeria. She's an experienced manager with a high level of proficiency in dental care, health management, and administration. In 2019, she founded Luxe Dental Clinic, a clinic that leads in providing global standard dental services to its customers, leaving them with life-changing experiences. She is ardent about making people healthy and keeps the faces of our clients confident and full of bright smiles using the latest dental tools and technology. She's a public health enthusiast and also runs a non-profit dental advocacy, Smile Doctor Foundation, through which she improves access to dental care for underprivileged individuals in rural and semi-urban areas. Dr. Funmi Adeniyi is the founder of Body Pantry International Limited. Body Pantry International Limited is a pioneering African fashion brand dedicated to the preservation of culture with a global reach and spread, including notable exhibitions and trade shows in Houston, USA, Dubai, Nairobi, Kenya, and Lagos, Nigeria. The company is renowned for its sustainable fabric manufacturing practices, which prioritize the efficient utilization of resources, resulting in fabric that is not only eco-friendly but also easy to recycle. Their commitment to environmental responsibility extends to the use of biomaterials in the manufacturing process, ensuring their products are long-lasting, multi-purpose, reusable, and ultimately recyclable. The company has a strong focus on emission reduction and showcases innovation through the application of unique African production method. Dr. Funmi inspires thousands of young girls, women, and the general public through a Made for More show, a podcast platform, and two best-selling published books. She's married to her best friend, Dr. Damilola Adeniyi, the family life doctor, and together they raised three beautiful children. Can we welcome Dr. Funmi Adeniyi as she takes us through this session? You're welcome, Dr. Funmi. We're excited to have you here. The family life doctor, and together so you're actually okay. Three beautiful.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here. I see that you're sharing your screen. I see a message saying you should stop sharing your screen.
Okay, so yeah. Would you like to share your screen, ma'am?
No. I got a message saying that you should stop sharing your screen so they could see you clearly.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, ma'am. All right, ma. You're very welcome, ma.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so you want me to just dive in?
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay, okay, thank you very much, everyone on YouTube. All right, navigating career growth as women, the challenges, our strategies and opportunities. Being a woman is an incredibly beautiful gift. It is such a powerful thing to sit in your femininity and be all that you can be. I believe that every woman is a life giver. We are the force of life, the force of we carry that life force that ensures that the earth continues year in, year out. And so it's important that we know what we bring to the table. We bring life to the table beyond every other thing that we bring life to the table. And so I know, I remember that I've been asked questions as to growing a business, rising up the ladder, what did the what did the what did what's it called? What did my gender have to do with anything? And the truth is, for a long time, I never knew that there was my gender had a stop sign or a pause sign. I never was conscious of that. I grew up with surrounded by strong women who were strong in career, strong with family, strong in faith. My mom was widowed when I was 2 years old. I'm her only child and growing up. So it was my mom who took care of me all my life. And she rose to the peak of her career as a professor in academics. I was surrounded by administrators, um, just strong women all around. And so that's the picture that I have growing up of women who go after their dreams, who are excellent at work. They bring their 7,000% to work and they change lives, they change communities. And so that is what is real to me, and that is what I know that every woman can be. So our gender is not a stop sign. Our gender does not, there's no limitation at all from from being a woman. And so this International Women's Day, our theme here is navigating our career growth. Um, what are the challenges? I think every challenge that accrues to every human accrues to us. But in the light of all that has been happening in Nigeria, sometimes there are other dimensions that come in. But we as women must learn to stand up and speak for ourselves. We must determine that we will not be silenced wherever we are. We must know that we have the same human rights anybody has. And it's so important that we as women learn to stand up for ourselves. I believe that our generation will not fall into the trap that the older generation has fallen into. We will not, because of positions and money, be quiet in the face of injustice. We will stand up and speak against injustice in every form and every form. And we must begin to see that injustice to one is injustice to all. You must begin to see that if it happens to her, it can happen to me. If it happens to her, it can happen to my daughter. We must have that perspective, and we must speak against every shade of injustice in the workplace, in communities, in society. We should not we should not side in with the culture of silence that is prevalent in our communities. Yeah. So growing up in career ladder as women, I think that many times we have it rests on us to double down on excellence wherever it is that we do, whatever it is that we do, to show up as the very best selves that we can. And so continuous learning, never using your gender as an excuse, never using your motherhood as an excuse. Never. I remember when I had my second child, I needed to take a career gap year. In dentistry, I was practicing as a clinician, and I knew I had to take that gap year. And in that gap year, I focused on growing my business then, and I learned everything I could about entrepreneurship in that season, paying for courses, learning, and a lot of things I learned in that season is what I've used to grow the dental business eventually. And when I came back into dentistry after the gap year, I just came back like I never left because I kept learning, I kept sharpening my skills. I remember that a few days ago, my HR was interviewing a lady who had like a several years, gap years to raise children, and she came in for the interview and she just kept referencing, I've been raising children, or I don't know anything about the workforce. No, when you come back with confidence. But you must be big on learning, because the only way many times that you come with confidence is because you know what it is that you bring to the table. You know your onions, you know what it is that is going on in the field of learning. And so it's important that you know what it is that you do. You are efficient, you are strategic, you're big on time management. As women, leveraging time management tools, because as women, I think naturally, most women, I know everyone might not fall into that in that category, but most women have that gift of being able to multitask, to be able to carry on several things at the same time. But in it, make sure that you are excellent. Make sure that you are excellent. And as you go in your career, I want to talk about managing emotions, because as women, we're known, it's like 5 or 6 emotions and women. It doesn't apply to everyone. But for you, you must learn to regulate, to manage your emotions. So I like to say that have a PhD in yourself. Know yourself, understand yourself, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, grow, double down where you're strong. And when you're weak, outsource your weakness or relearn so that you grow, you get better in those places that you're weak. Employ people that can help mitigate your weaknesses. If you run a business, if you're in career, now there's AI, there's all sorts that can help. You can pay for services also to mitigate your weaknesses. But grow, understand who you are, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and make sure that you are growing constantly. Make sure you know your job. Make sure that you know your job. You have your excellent time management principles. You're managing your time, you're managing yourself, you're managing your energy so that you can show up as the best self. It's important as also when you're a mother and you're running a career, growing a business, it's important that you learn to delegate tasks. It's important that you learn to delegate tasks. You're ensuring that other people can manage things. So I'm a woman of faith, and the scriptures, Proverb 31, is a beautiful compendium of a multi-influential, multi-creative woman with multiple streams of income. And you notice that she has staff that work for her. And when she wakes up in the morning, she's the queen of delegation. She has her schedules. She has said, oh, this person is in charge of this, that is in charge of that. And that's that's who we must become as women. We must grow into it. Don't over emotionalize everything. Learn the art of adding logic to whatever it is. Balance your emotions with logic. And if you can't, delegate to people who are more logical. I know that in my journey, in my growth, my husband helped me a lot with logic. So many times I bring issues to him, all emotional. Oh, this is how I feel, this is how I feel, this is how I feel. But he brings, this is what it is, this is what the facts state. So as women, we must learn to toe the line of facts, to toe the line of logic, to balance it. Where women, many of us are instinctive. We know, we have that gut feeling, but then you must also back it up with facts and numbers and digits and logic. So for me, I think that having questions will also guide me to know, because I don't know the audience that I have. I don't know where they are in the stage of life. It will help me to tailor the conversation. So I'd like to know the age range, where they are in their career space. And the truth is, I have like different, I have the dental space, I have the fashion space, I have the NGO space, and so it will help me to tailor my conversations. Are you there?
Yes, very well,
Okay.
Ma.
All right.
Depending when we start receiving questions, depending when I get the
Okay.
question from YouTube admin, so we have a demography of people, of women and men also. I'm sure there are men on amongst our audience. So we have a demography of people from their early 20s to like 40s. So these are like the people that you're speaking with. So you're mostly speaking with people that are starting up their careers, people that are maybe not yet married, not totally. I mean, some of us are married in that sense, but most of us are like not yet married. We're looking to getting married. So a lot of us are in that phase of, okay, I'm moving steady in my career. I'm probably from entry level, probably entering into mid-level in my career. So how am I able to, manage this particular season? Like for instance, when I get married, what is going to happen to my career? When I get children, or when I get pregnant, different things happen to a woman in her life. And just like you said, women are a lot emotional. So different things can actually affect our career progression and trajectory in that sense. So most of us are like in that phase, not yet married, looking to getting married, and taking our careers up a notch in that sense. So we are in that phase of, okay, transitioning from entry to mid-level, and then some of us also transitioning from mid-level into like executive positions and all of that.
Okay. All right. So I think a safe place would just be to share my journey, my
Yeah.
own personal journey, and then you take what works for you, and then at the end I take questions. So I grew up, as I said, my father passed when I was 2, grew up with my mom largely. In medical school, I studied dentistry in about, I think, 300, 400 level. I decided to go actively into the hostels because we lived on the campus, so there really was no need for me to stay on the hostels. And then I noticed that, oh, there was a lot of buying and selling in the hostels. And I remember my aunt had just come back from the UK and she had several wristwatches, things to sell. And I offered to sell for her in the hostels, as I had seen other people do. I was very to myself, like I was confident, but I'd rather be on my own. I was introverted. So I began to sell, and then asking people for my money was a problem. But thank God for GSM, I could craft out messages to say, oh, here's a gentle reminder for your outstanding bill. And then I'll be praying, Holy Spirit, help me remind them to pay me my money and all. But he built a lot of resilience, tenacity, staying power in me. And so I did that. And then there was the 1 year after medical school where you work and then you're paid a lump sum in government institutions. They keep your salary for like 5 6 months, and so you get a lump sum at once. And so I remember that I had over ₦1 million to invest in business, and then that was a lot of money. And so my friend came with me and we invested, I think, about close to ₦2 million. We shipped in over 250 pairs of shoes from China, and we began to sell. Then there was an online platform called Deal Day, something like a Jumia of now, but then it had a lot to do with deals, and we sold a lot of our shoes there. And then everyone in the university, then our students, teachers, house officers, doctors, when they wanted to get shoes, we were the go-to girls to get shoes from. She was more outgoing, she was more extroverted. I was the structure, calm, organizing, checking all the numbers person. I'll do the back end of the the selling platforms, and we grew it. Then I remember then that December also she got a contract to do over 200 hampers, and then I was her assistant in that place, and then she paid me. We were still working as dentists and we were still being paid, but I've always just liked to have multiple streams of income. I didn't come from a business background. There was no one in my family then that was running a business that I knew of. It everyone was in that academic phase. Till date, my mother wonders where this whole business came from. But then I finished, and then I got married. Just I think the day I was passing out of NYC, I did not go for my personal parade. I was getting married. I had my traditional marriage, and then got married, began to practice as a private practitioner. But I'd always had this itch. I'm not sure I'm supposed to be doing this dentistry. I definitely knew I didn't want to do residency. And so I remember my final year project was on health insurance, HMOs, because I'd always thought of the business side of dentistry, the business side of health. So worked for a few years, and then I had my children in close succession. My second came in 18 months after. When I was pregnant with her, though, there was something different about her pregnancy, and I just knew that I couldn't take on the strain of. I was the only dentist. I was the assistant. I was like the all in all. I was the clinic. And so it was a lot of stress. I remember I would come in very early, close very late, and then I was processing x-rays, which wasn't really good when you're pregnant, and just several things. And I just began to have an itch, like it's time to leave. And then talking, I knew that the Holy Spirit was telling me it was time to take a break. But why now? I'm pregnant with my second child. We have independence. My husband was running his master's degree. This was the best time that every income was needed. But I remember I spoke to my husband and he was like, okay, it's fine. And then I took a gap year. And that year I focused on buying and selling. And I got into real estate that year. And I remember when I was going, I was like, what if I fail? And then the Holy Spirit asked me, what if you fly? And by the end of the year, I remember I'd sold 6 plots of land in on the island. And that was a big deal then because my commission, when by the time I got my commission, it didn't matter if I worked that year or not because I was good. coupled with business. And then I was learning everything I could about entrepreneurship. I was paying for online courses. I was really big then. And then we had to move to Abuja. And then in Abuja, it was a different terrain. Most of my clients were in Lagos. They operated mostly in Lagos. So all the ecosystem I had around business wasn't there. And so I knew it was time to go back into career. I remember that I went to several hospitals to tell them, I'm willing to set up a dental clinic for you. That's the confidence. I will walk into the clinic. I want to see the MD and I'm dressed well. I'm looking good. They would, do you have an appointment? Him? No, but I want to see him. And I'll offer to set up a dental clinic for them. But many of them said no. And then finally, I remember there was a dentist I reached out to. I'll just call numbers. I'll check the website, call the numbers. I told her, oh, I'm a dentist. I just moved in from Lagos. My daughter was wailing at the top of her lungs in the background. She's like, are you sure you'll be able to take on a job with that wailing baby? I was like, no, just trust me. And then I got on the job there. I was seeing senators, seeing House of Rep members. I remember when the president's son had an accident, then it was the hospital he was brought into. And I was growing, and then I would always take on people's businesses like it was mine. And so I did a lot of getting into new markets for her. I got influencers that I knew to come into the clinic, will offer free care just so that they'll give us shout outs and then we'll have increased. I started the practice of going to primary schools, secondary schools to teach them about oral health and then just to get a new market for the business because I would never be comfortable just sitting down in clinic waiting for clients to come. I'm like, I must create a market. And so shortly after we had to move back to Lagos. So I'm back to being kind of jobless. And then a lady reaches out to me to say, oh, there's an influential lady that has a spa and she wants to start a whitening setup. I was like, no, I'm not a spa therapist or I'm a dentist. Like, if you're going to do something, it has to be a dental clinic. And they're like, well, they just have a little space, but I will always make the most of anything. And so I go there. I didn't have a good feeling about it, but my husband was like, he had a good feeling about it. I should just try it out. And so I went there. I was like, okay, you know what? We have to get a dental chair. We have to get dental equipment. It's not just a whitening light. And we're going to have a full-fledged dental clinic. And they're like, oh no, they don't have the budget for that. I went and looked for a second-hand dental chair, an affordable one that fits into their budget. And so we set it up, the dental chair, and the dental clinic started. I started having all sorts of cases in a year. We had grown from having no client base to doing a whole lot. And in that season, I had asked for, I remember I read a book by a rabbi, Daniel Lappin, talking about business principles that the Jews used to succeed. And he talked about how people who earned salaries always had a limitation, a cap. But people who took commissions could set their pay for life. And so in this place where there was no clients, it was a brand new setup. I asked for commissions that I will earn 50% of whatever we made. So it meant I had to create my own market. And that was it. Everything I learned how to design my graphics myself, learned digital marketing, learned everything. And then I created the market. All the principles I had learned, going to schools to create markets in the other ladies' place, I brought it on here. And everyone was my client. And a couple of years later, that partnership ended and I had to set up Luxe Dental Clinic with very little money that I had. I just had 2.5 million naira, rented a space, and I took a loan from my mom. Banks weren't giving loans because of COVID. The healthcare space sector was on red because there was a lot of defaults from the previous year. But 2021, we set up Lux Dental in a 2-bedroom area. We started with one room because that was all we could afford. But then in 9 months, I built up the whole place and we're growing exponentially. We have a staff base of close to 15 minus the external part-time people who are on board, and we have turned over that initial amount over 100 times. So there is a lot. There've been challenges, yes, but challenges are like they're like the raw ingredients you need for success, because what you do with those challenges is what helps you to triumph and move to the next level. Um uh okay, I can see some questions already coming up.
We're having some questions in right
From
now.
YouTube. Okay, so you're posting them on here. Okay. All right.
Okay,
So
yeah,
several
so
challenges I faced, the whole jackpot phenomenon, everyone traveling abroad. For the first 2 years, a lot of the doctors I would train will come back and tell me, oh, I'm going to Canada. Almost all of them went to Canada then. But I just kept training other people. I just kept training other people. Till date, I haven't gotten any bank loan, but I learned to apply for grants. So I know as at today, I've gotten 3 grants. But otherwise, everything has been from plowing back everything I earned back into the business because nobody's coming to save you. And so, saving, working on a lean budget, um, believing big and going big. Yeah, faith has been an important factor on this journey. Tenacity has been an important factor. While I was doing all of this, I had this gnawing desire to do stuff with Adire. At that point, it was in 2018. Nobody was doing Adire. Everybody used to call it Kampala. It was what they'll package for you when you go to speak with starch on it. But
yeah,
I had this dream, this desire. I remember that it was one night I literally received a whole blueprint for the business, working with African prints, how to turn it around, how I'll use it with silk, with linen, with fabric that weren't being used then. And as I was growing Lux Dental, I was also growing this business. My children say that Lux Dental is my Lagos business and Body Pantry is my international business because every time I'm traveling, they're like, "Is it Body Pantry?" I'm like, "Yes." And so there's a lot that can happen when you have a vision. And with all of this, so for me, order is very important. If you're a multi-creative, multi-dimensional person, you can't joke with order and systems. If not, you'll be a mess. Everything will be everywhere. And so creating systems, training people to do what you can do so that you are not bugged with everything. And so creating systems, reproducing yourself in other people is very important. So I think I want to take that question I just received.
oh, like
Can you please just
like
read
I'm
it out?
I'm so inspired. Yeah, definitely. I'll read it out. I'll read it out. I'm so
Eh,
inspired by your story. And I
Then,
think just like you said, aside from faith and everything, what I see also is discipline. Like discipline, you have to say sort of delay gratification at some point. I mean, you
definitely.
said you started a business and then you didn't take any loan, you were just recouping. I mean, that takes a lot of discipline and resoluteness to making sure it works. So that's like so inspiring. Thank you so much, ma, for sharing your story. So the question we have here from YouTube is, I started earning more than my husband recently, and everyone
Mhm.
around me seems to disagree with me being a major provider for my own. What do you think I should do? So that's the
Okay.
question for me too.
Okay. With marriage, there are seasons. So there are times where I've earned more than my husband. There are times where he has earned more than me. There are times where we're both earning on the same level. It's important that you're married to a person who loves you and who desires your growth and your increase. So when the money comes from you or from him, it's not a big deal. I believe that in marriage, God is our source and we are channels. So if he pours it through you, big deal. If you pause it through him, there's no problem. My husband's dream is he was the one who made me so aware of this Proverbs 31 woman because he literally crafted confessions for me and he will speak over me those words that I will buy a field, that I would rise up and so throughout from once we got married, once I was pregnant, he was the one that told his mother to get me a maid because he's like the woman that he desires, the woman he sees me to become. I'm not going to be washing clothes. I'm not going to be like he got me a washing machine. I'm not going to be doing all those things because he wants me focused on things that will cause me to grow and will cause us to grow. So whoever the money is coming from is not the most money is coming from is not the big deal. But does he have work ethic? Is he diligent? Is he always doing something productive, not just chase. There's some people that just chase wild dreams. They have great ideas, no execution, no. We must see a result from whatever it is that you're doing. And so, if he has good work ethic and you're both on the same page, it doesn't matter what anyone says, but you will not dumb down, you will not reduce your shine, you will not take lower paying roles just to make anyone comfortable. No, you won't. You will live out to the maximum of who you were born to be. So if you have the capacity to run 5 businesses, you will do that. You will not try to make anyone comfortable and fit in and not feel bad. No, you will live out your full potential with a lot of wisdom. With a lot of wisdom. You're not going to be rubbing it into anybody's face that I'm the one paying for this. It's only you and your husband that need to know who is earning what. Nobody outside both of you needs to know who is bringing home money. Nobody needs to. But understand that in marriage, there are seasons. I always give this example when I'm asked this question. So, the Mrs. Ibokwawashika, for a long time, she was running her business. And it seemed like, she was probably the one earning more at home in the beginning. And then shortly after, her husband hits an oil well. Please, how many entrepreneurship does she want to do that one oil well would give them in the house? Do you understand that? But if she didn't manage a season where she was earning more or the more dominant one, if she didn't manage it well, she probably won't be the Mrs. Awoshika that we know today. So it's important that you operate with wisdom as a woman when you earn more. There's no, own it with your chest. Whatever it is that God has blessed you with, but do it with a lot of wisdom, carrying your husband along. I probably in my home we don't run joint accounts like that. We have joint projects and where there's accountability. So he knows what I'm earning. He knows what I'm earning. I know what he's earning. We know what we're in charge of. School fees, groceries, whatever it is, and we schedule it. But it's important that your husband is gainfully employed or running a business, even if it is 20,000 a month that is bringing consistently. Let him consistently bring it. Yeah. I
All
hope
right.
that answers the
Thank
question.
you very much for that response. Yeah, I hope so. Beams, you could check for me from YouTube if that like satisfactorily answers the question. So we have another question. So this is the last question we'll be taking for this speaker, so we can maximize our time on this session. So this is the last question I'm taking for the speaker. You can send in your questions. Once we're done with the second speaker, we'll take further questions. But this is the last one we'll be taking for Dr. Funmi. So this question says, love your story, ma. What do you think about the situation with Senator? I was so sure this thing was going to come up with Senator Natasha. It feels like women are constantly being bullied in organization, which in turn stunts career growth.
So for me, the most striking thing about the whole story was the position other women took on it for me in the same sector. And so for us as women, we must band together. If she's actually right and those things have been done and she has opened up to a few people, let's speak up against injustice. So when you know injustice is being done, let's open our mouth. Don't perpetuate this culture of silence that we have in our society. Let's not bring it down into our generation. Let it end with them. And so you see something is being wrong. There's a top boss that is harassing all the women, because I'm sure it's not only one woman he has harassed. Let everyone speak up and speak out against the injustice. And then the point of being women and sisterhood and motherhood is not just so we take pictures and look cute. It is so that we support one another. It's so that we hold each other's hands and say, I have been through this journey. I'm sure some of these women have experienced what the other lady experienced, but they will just keep quiet. Like, I don't want to be blackmailed. We have to stop being afraid of money and position and power and just stand for truth. We have to get to that place. And until we damn the consequences and say, I will stand for what is right, no matter what. And I will stand for my sister if she is right, no matter what. We will not make much progress. We will be okay in silos. This one is okay because look at it. She's pretty. She's wealthy. She's married to a wealthy man. She's in one of the biggest rooms in the nation. And still, she's being treated like this. How much more all of us in smaller rooms? And so we must hold ourselves accountable, and we must defend one another, stand up for one another, and speak up against injustice. You're in any system, whether it's religious, whether it is at work, and you see injustice being perpetrated against another woman, stand up for her, speak up for her, talk to the authorities, call in the justice system, whatever, but let's not let silence be perpetuated in our generation. That's what it is for me.
Thank you so much, Ma. That was an amazing session. Now we'll be going on to our second speaker. We'll still have you on the call, Ma, just in case we have more
Okay.
questions. Yes,
All
thank
right.
you, Ma. We'll be going on to our second speaker right now. So our second speaker is Mrs. Ogochukwu Mba. So I'm going to read our citation right now, profile right now. So Ogochukwu Mba is a seasoned compliance and internal control professional, holding certification as a banker with an impressive career spanning over 15 years across various industries, including banking and the capital market. Currently serving as the Chief Compliance Officer at Berkshire Finance Company Limited, Ogochukwu plays a pivotal role in ensuring strict adherence to internal policies, procedures, and regulatory requirements within the organization. In addition, she is currently serving as a pastor at Celebration Church International. Before joining Berkshire, she honed her skills and made notable contributions as an assurance, finance, and operations professional at FMDQ Holdings PLC, Guaranty Trust Bank Limited, and Enterprise Bank, where she significantly contributed to enhancing the institution's path to success. Beyond her professional accomplishments, Ogochukwu is deeply passionate about empowering young women to reach their full potential. She actively engages in mentoring initiatives, most notably the 360 Woman, which aims to provide guidance and support to emerging female leaders. Additionally, Ogochukwu is deeply committed to the field of politics and governance. She has a strong interest in the dynamics of government and public policy in Nigeria. To further her understanding and actively engage in this realm, she pursued a program at the School of Politics, Policy, and Governance. Ogochukwu is an alumna of Covenant University, where she pursued business administration, and she holds a master's degree in finance from the University of Lagos, Nigeria. She's also a member of the Executive Council of Covenant University Alumni Association, where she serves as the Vice President Welfare. In summary, Ogochukwu Mba is a dedicated professional, a mentor, a community leader, and a woman with a strong commitment to making a positive impact on both our professional field and society at large. Good afternoon, Mrs. Ogochukwu. We are so excited to have you join us this
Hi, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Ma.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Funmi. That was a very brilliant session. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to share my slide. I hope I can. Yeah. All right. So I was thinking that we were going to have like more people,
Yes,
but I think they are more on YouTube.
Yeah, thank you. We have a live audience on YouTube. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to be speaking to resilience, building resilience to navigate challenging times in the workplace. And I think I'm going to start with what Dr. Funmi even just closed with, and that is the Natasha case, Mrs. Natasha. And I think it was the way Dr. Funmi responded was just perfect, because I was just like, when I even heard that Some women even came on Arise TV to say some things. And I was just like, sure, we could have just, we would have held hands together and, just supported. We should actually support her. And I know very well that I know this case is going to eventually drag, but like the way you answered was just perfect. We all need to support each other. I'm always saying this, even in the workplace. They're always saying this thing that women were the ones that used to even do ourselves. So we just need to, and the thing is, as we are growing up the ladder, we need to lift other people as well as women. Very, very important. Very, very important. Thank you so much, Dr. Funmi. So I wanted to
Yeah.
actually, I wanted us to do like an icebreaker, but I think I'm going to skip that because the response is actually not online with that. So I'm just going to move to my career journey. I would say that it's been a very interesting season for me, and like I said, the journey is still starting. I intend to go into politics by God's grace later in the years, of course. Just seeing how Nigeria is, I know that we need to Nigeria is going to be great. Nigeria is great already. Nigeria is great already. So this is still a journey. I served in Springbank, and I'm sure some people might not even know which one is Springbank. Springbank became Enterprise Bank and then Heritage Bank, but Heritage Bank isn't existing anymore as we speak right now. So I served there and I was retained. Now so because I'm talking about resilience, I'm going to be making lots of references to that. So I remember very well that I was there for I think 3 years or 4 years. I would say that yes, I was probably in my comfort zone. I remember then working in a bank was like the in thing. I think I was just comfortable with the fact that yes, I actually had a job. But I got an opportunity to work in GT, Guarantee Trust Bank. And I remember then to go into Guarantee Trust Bank as entry level, you needed to write a test. I can't remember what test it was. But because I already gained experience, they told me, oh, it was fine. Like I could just go. Ideally, I was supposed to go into the next level. So you have entry level, executive trainee, then you have assistant banking officer. So ideally, they were supposed to give me assistant banking officer, but they said, oh, because I was very young, that I should just go straight into training school and just start. I would have probably just rejected it, but I think I was just like, oh, no, this is an opportunity. Let me just take it and just keep and move on. So I got into training school and I was in training school. Training school, you had to be there for, I think 3 months or was it 4 months? I can't remember. That was like a long time ago. But it was a very wonderful experience. I got into Guarantee Trust Bank and I didn't want to do marketing. Now, sometimes I look back and I'm like, I wish I had just, done the hard thing. And that's something we need to learn, that sometimes we always want to go through the easy route, but I would say that it's better to just do the hard thing. And trust me, it will, and that is what resilience is all about. That trust me, you will not, there are people that have done worse and they still came out stronger. So I eventually went, anyway, I would say that all things work together for good anyway. So I went into the back office. So you classify us as the Olopa, the police people. So that has been my profession so far. I work as an internal control officer. And so that's how my journey started in terms of my career. And so when I was in GT, I got comfortable again. Like, when there was just this hunger, like, oh no, there has to be more. There's more to this. Because I remember very well that I'll go to work, I can close my eyes and do the work I had to do, and that was it for the day. But I was just like, I'm still very young. There's still more stretching that needs to be done. And I decided to throw my CV out, and boom, I found myself in FMDQ, that's the capital market space. And I can tell you for free that place it's a very fantastic place, but there was a lot of stretching. If I said I stretched in GT, no, this stretching was more than I could ever imagine. Like the fact that I had to even go in, and that was even one thing, like they kept hammering when I went for my interview that, oh, you don't have experience in the capital market space. So what are you looking for here? And I had to sell myself and tell them that, trust me, I'm a fast learner. I'll bring my A game to the game, to the job. And that was how I was able to get the job. And it was a very fantastic experience. Like, remember I mentioned that I was in internal control. I am still in the internal control space, assurance. But when I went into FMDQ, they threw me into compliance. I had no clue about compliance because when I was even in Guarantee Trust Bank, compliance was in a different space entirely and is usually done by lawyers. I've always wanted to be a lawyer anyways, but that didn't work out thanks to Jump. But I was open-minded. I was open-minded to learn, and compliance was something that I had to learn. Do you get? And even risk management, even information security. Like I had to be open to learn all of these things while I was in this market, in capital market space in FMDQ, and it was so stretching, and I'm so grateful for that. Resilience is about stretching. It's about no matter what the challenge you face, just know that you will not fall. You cannot. You can only get stronger basically. So I left FMDQ and I joined Berkshire Finance Company. And Berkshire is also in the finance space as well. But now this is more like I have the opportunity to also be part of the management team, which is also a very stretching, opportunity. Now, people keep saying that you know, there's a tendency. Now, I remember very well now, I just have to share my journey and I'll just share some stories. I remember when I was in GT, like I told you, that I was in internal control. And so there's something we used to call spot check. So basically, their sensitive documents are not supposed to be left outside. They're supposed to be under lock and key. So now, as internal control, what we used to do is spot check. We'll just come, we'll have to appear in your office as early as 6 a.m. Like I told you, we used to be our lockers. We'll show up as early as 6 a.m. and we'll start checking. If your drawer is open, we'll pull out the documents, we'll document it. And it's a serious case because basically people can collect confidential information and use it against the organization. So it is very important that you keep certain documents under lock and key. So I remember then my parents used to stay in Amodofi. So I had to wake up as early as 4 a.m. and get to the office really early. And sometimes I have to even get home as late as 12 o'clock, 12 midnight. But I had to keep pushing. I just knew that there was just something like at that point in time, it seemed like, is this not too much? Like that's usually always the case. Like at that point in time, it's actually a lot. It's so stressful. But the thing is that especially when you have purpose and you know where you're going, I can tell you for free that while I was in the university, I've always said I wanted to be a banker. I think because of my parents were also bankers. But I don't know, but I just knew that I've always wanted to be in the finance space, and that has always kept me going. But at that point in time, it was really stressful, but I had to find a way around it. I had to I had a colleague as well that was open to allowing me stay in her house, especially for days when I had to come to the island very early because my office was on the island. I had to come to the island very early to do the spot check. It was a lot, but I had to keep pushing. I remember then that I had a boss. He was at that point in time horrible. A horrible boss. Like he always, when you say things like, that this boss is so wicked, especially when people are demanding excellence from you. And you'll be saying, well, this one's one is too much. But I think when I got to FMDQ, I was so grateful for that experience. At that point in time, it seemed like it was just a lot. But I realized later on in future, like years later, that I had to even do a special post for him, like telling him anywhere I go to David Didoko, I'm always saying, thank you so much, sir, because you stretched me, you made me become the person I was. At that point in time, it seemed like it was a lot, but that's resilience. I had to, no matter what it is, still show up 100% and, put my best foot forward. So like Ryan Holiday says that obstacles are not inherently negative. It's our perception that makes them so. How do you see things? How do you, when things happen, like I said, I had to wake up as early as 4 in those days to be at work. So I had to find a way around it because at the end of the day, I still had to show up. I can't come up with excuses. Excuses is not even allowed, really. And already there's even a perception for women already. There was something Dr. Funmi was saying. I remember very well when I gave birth to my son. I remember that I was always going to the hospital every time to go and do a test because it was as if every time like I was pregnant. But I just knew that very well because of the environment I was working in. if I was going to take him again, it was going to affect my promotion. And I knew very well that I wasn't ready. So I had to go and what do you call it, do like preventive measures. Basically, I had to put in an IUD and everything just because at that point in time I wasn't ready for another child. So it's just very important to just know that you have to, as a woman, there are no excuses at all because there's already this perception already. So we, like Dr. Funmi said, we have to show up with our A game. We have to be excellent at every point in time. And women, we are so hardworking. We are so hardworking. So we shouldn't even give people that chance to say certain things about us when it comes to our workplace. Now, I wanted to even ask, you can see my slides, right? Yes, okay. So now what I did was to now go and see, okay, when we talk about resilience, how do we have examples of people that, well-known people that had gone through this thing, gone through challenges and still came up top? Yes, of course, we have Oparife. This is someone that had to go through racism and go through a lot. And look at her now. She has her own network. She's well-known everywhere. No matter what it is, she came out tops. We have the former CEO of PepsiCo. This is what an Indian American, like, no matter what it is, she still came out, she came up as in, like, she's well known, so popular, and she's so driven about when it comes to self-development. You should actually check out one of her books as well, where she talked about all of this and her life, basically, how she went through PepsiCo. And this is in a male-dominated industry, but she still came out was strong, no matter what it is. Like I mentioned earlier on, that it is your perception, what you see it as. Just you need to be positively minded when it comes to your career and when it comes to moving in the workspace. Serena Williams also faced the same challenge as well. She faced criticism and bias when it comes to sports. But no matter what it is, it should be your fuel. When you face challenges, it should be your fuel. It should be the propeller that will push you forward as you go about your daily activities. Very important. The next is the former COO of Facebook. Well, I was even doing my research. I remember very well that I think they actually said that she lost her husband, but I'm not sure it even clicked until when I was doing my research and wow, she lost her husband, but that actually pushed her. No matter what it is, yeah, she's actually remarried now. She's married again, but no matter, she used that. She wrote a book. I'm sure we all know the book Leaning, but she wrote another one called Option B, and basically she was just telling us about how she went through everything, and she's still very strong. I'm mentioning all of these people just to let you know that whatever you're going through shouldn't stop you from pushing forward. Now look at Malala, like, she was shot, and notwithstanding, she is still standing very, very strong, no matter what it is. So I said all of that to say is that what is it that you're going through? What is it that you're facing? What challenge are you facing that you cannot, overcome? Now look at it, because of her experience or rather the challenge that she faced, she became what she got a Nobel Prize, she became a Nobel Peace Prize winner. So I said all of that to say this, that it is important that you should be resilient, be no matter what it is, be dogged, push through whatever the challenge is. Like I gave an example of what I went through. I was staying in a very far place. No matter what it is, I had to always show up 100%. Now, how do I navigate this, especially in a workplace that is very challenging? It's important that you have a good mindset. See obstacles as a learning challenge, or something Dr. Funmi said. She said something about embracing AI. I remember very well then in FMDQ that it was a very high performing organization. We had to, you see that we'll draft an email and you have like 4 or 5 people stand around you just to read through and see how excellent your email is before you now send it to the other person, to your boss. But now thank God for AI. AI can sort you out. AI can settle everything, or you don't need to call anybody. Sorry, I'm actually in the office. So you don't even need to call anybody. All you just need to do is take the data and put it into AI. AI will help you out. It has literally eliminated the 4 or 5 people. But the reason I'm saying this is that you all need to learn, especially in the space that you're currently playing in the crypto space, in the fintech space. It's very important that you have, because things everything is high paced. So you have to actually run on that pace. Feedback isn't personal. I remember very well that me, then when it comes to feedback, I'm always very my guards are usually up, but I've now come to realize that feedback is actually very personal. There's nothing wrong with getting feedback from people. That is the only way you can actually learn. It is very important, especially like what Dr. Funmi said about we're very emotional, but you just have to, I don't want to say suck it up and just move on and just be strong. Just take the feedback and learn from it. Very, very important. Then another thing again is that failure isn't a bad thing. Failure isn't a bad thing. Sorry. Failure isn't a bad thing. You need to ensure that you learn from it. You learn from it. Very, very important. Failure isn't a bad thing. I read the story of Thomas Edison that he had a factory and his factory burnt down and nothing. He had to start again. It didn't stop him. It didn't stop him. Instead, he just saw it as a better way of expanding. And people are now talking about it. People are learning from his experience from his factory burning down. So basically, see failure as a learning opportunity. Don't, I'm just saying you can just go and, when it comes to growth, have a growth mindset. Very important. See things from a learning perspective. If something goes wrong right now, so that, okay, yes, I can actually learn from this and I can get better. Develop emotional intelligence. Be self-aware. Know what your triggers are. As women, we're very emotional. We know how certain things are. I know what my triggers are. I know when I might overreact to certain things. So such things I try to, as much as possible, stay away. I don't, especially in the corporate environment, you need to know how to be able to control your emotions. It's not even allowed for you to flare up as a woman. It's very important. Do not flare up. And also, it's also very important that you actually are very, attentive, active in listening. That's one superpower that we also need to learn as well. Very important. Then also your composure. I know very well that when I'm under stress, I'm actually getting better. When you're under stress, you can, you can be very reactive to things. So it's very important that you're very composed at every point in time. Nobody, like I give it to my husband. You can't even tell when he's upset or anything. He's so composed, like he has everything together. And same thing should also apply to us as women. Very important. Now, like when it comes to resilience, you need to also strengthen your problem solving skills. Like take each, like I said, see when you're faced with a challenge, you see how can I make it better? Like sometimes, something might happen. You're not saying, what happened? Who caused it? Oh, okay. Let's move past that. Let's see, okay, how can we solve this problem? How can we make things better? When a challenge comes, you're like thinking 10 or 5 or 15 steps ahead of yourself. Do you get? The corporate environment is revolving, is changing. A lot of things are happening at the same time. So you have to stay abreast of what is actually happening in your environment. Very, very important. Like so many things are changing. Like you sometimes you can't even keep up with things, but you need take it as a point of duty to learn at every point in time and also learn from past mistakes. Like when something happens, don't allow it to repeat itself again, especially when it's a huge mistake. You learn from it. And it's when you learn from it that you know that, okay, I'm learning from this. And I know that this is not going to happen again. There are certain things I'll say, this has happened. I'm not going to allow it to happen again because I've learned from my mistake because some mistakes are very costly. Very, very costly. Now, next thing, remember I told you that when I was working in FMDQ that you see that you have 5 or 6 people gather around you who compose one email before you send it out. It's very important that you have your support system. You can't do life alone. And also, women, please stop throwing ourselves. Don't be throwing yourself under the bus. Support women. Support each other in the work environment because already you know that there's this imposter syndrome already, and also like a limiting belief. We feel that we can't do certain things. Do you get? And which is why I'm so happy when I see great women doing great stuff. It just shows that this is an image of possibility. If this person has gone ahead of me, I can also do it. I can't even believe that Dr. Fumi's Lux Dent, I didn't even know that it started in 2021. And just seeing how far she has gone is just amazing. So find your tribe in your work environment. Very, very important. Find your friends in your work environment. I always say this, you spend a lot of time at work. So you have to ensure that the people that you have, you can actually trust them. But look out for people that will throw you under the bus. But find people that will actually support you. Very important. And also seek for mentorship. Seek for mentorship. Receive. So sometimes you don't even have to wait for your appraisal to be able to know how you're performing. You can actually get feedback or seek feedback at least every 3 months. Reach out to your boss and ask, okay, how can I do things? Let them give it to you hard, and you go back to work on it. Don't wait until appraisal that they're now telling you these are the issues at the end of the year. Then you now have to now start, you know very well that that's also can affect your promotion or anything. So try and seek for feedback at least every 3 months. You go back and ask questions. How am I doing this? Is this better? How can I do this? You go back, retrace your steps, add see how you can do better and show up again. Do you get? And also when you're going back the next time, always make reference to what you did or rather the feedback you received on how you've done better. So that by year end or whenever you're doing your year end, this thing is not difficult. They can't be telling you things that we've already discussed it and this was even off the books. So it just makes things a lot better. And also give and receive support. Let us help one another. Very, very important. And also prioritize self-work and work-life balance, please. They should not be disturbing you over the weekend. We should try to draw the line. Very important, especially for married people as well. Know when to cut off. Know when to cut off. Let it not be known that if the only thing people know about you is your work. You should have a life outside of work. Very, very important. That is how to build resilience. Very, very important. Then, of course, we need to exercise, read, 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 read. Dr. Funmi mentioned one book. I've even gone to go and check the book on principles, because the Jewish guys are very, very prosperous. So there are certain principles that they follow. So it's actually very good. So I already noted it. I'm going to actually check out the book and read. So it's very important that you read, especially in the environment, in the space that we're playing in. So many things are happening. And if you notice something, let me tell you something. When it comes to imposter syndrome, it is sometimes our lack in the knowledge of that topic that makes us feel like we don't know what to say. But trust me, when you are well learned, when you've armed yourself with enough information, you can show up and say what you need to say, and you will not feel like you don't have anything to say. So read, read, read. Self-development is very important. You saw the CEO of PepsiCo, the former CEO of PepsiCo India, she's very high on personal development. You don't have to wait for when your company is taking on courses or training. Go on yourself, go by yourself and go and do your own research and learn. I was listening to one YouTube channel, and the lady mentioned like some certain skills. I think we're going to get there. She mentioned some certain skills that you need to learn, and you can actually draw a curriculum. At least maybe for a particular skill, I'll spend like 2 weeks on this particular skill. We have to keep evolving as women. Very, very important. And also important that you rest. Sabbath is very important. You also rest. Rest is also part of success. Very important. Now, time management. I came in at the right time when Dr. Funmi was talking about time management. There's something can you remember very well in secondary school when there was like a timetable, and you will see that from 8 to 9 is mathematics, from 9 to 10 is integrated science. So you can also apply the same thing, time blocking. Just you come in to work, you list out all the things, a to-do list for the day, block your time, and you deep work. Embrace deep work. I know a lot of distractions these days. They say that you carry your phone like maybe 100 times. This phone is so distracting. Well, the thing is that to get the best, to be able to have quality work, it is by locking in your attention on for a very long time. You get. So I would say that please manage your time. Time is money. Time is your asset. Time, because the time that is gone, you can never recover it. And that is where you build resilience. That's where you build quality work. Like I was talking about time blocking. Look at when we were in secondary school, we'll say, oh, 8 to 9 is 1 hour period. This is what we are doing. Do the same thing. You say that, okay, at this time, I'm going to focus on an assignment and ensure I finish it. If I don't finish it, I move it to the next time again. Within that period, it does something to your mind when you're focused by time blocking. Very, very important. And the person also said the same thing. If you cannot do it, just give it to another person to do it. You don't have to do everything. It's important that what you delegate, especially things, play towards your strength. Always play towards your strength. Very important. Then also, like I talked about learning. So I mentioned that I listed out all the skills that the girl mentioned, problem solving skills. See, at the lower level of your career, technical skills are so important, like basically knowing what it is, getting your hands dirty. I agree, is very important. But as you climb up the ladder, effective communication is very important. Decision making, you need to learn it. These are skills, soft skills that can be learned. We have problem solving skills, managing people, managing Gen Z, very an important skill that you have to learn. Emotional intelligence, decision making, conflict resolution. These are skills. You can go on YouTube University. Go and sit down. You can even go on AI first of all and just write out this list. Put it on AI and say, please create a curriculum for me. I'm a busy person. My 9 to 5. I'm very busy from 9 to 5. Help me schedule my time that I can use. Give me hours during the day on how I can improve myself when it comes to these skills. I can tell you that ChatGPT will give you a very fantastic curriculum that you can run with and even give you resources that you can always refer to. YouTube has a lot of information. You can learn from there. People management, effective communication. Communication is very important. The act of listening is very important. So you have to learn. Embrace uncertainty. A lot of things are happening at this time. But it is when it catches you unaware that you now become overwhelmed. You can't stand in the face of adversity. So you have to embrace and you have to be 10 times ahead of time. In your industry, do your research. How they say the that what is happening currently has actually happened before. So most times people are not really surprised because they've already done their research. So ensure that you're learning, ensure that in the crypto space, in the fintech space, what is happening, what are your competitors doing? Yes, you don't have to be the owner of the business to know what your competitors are doing. Because when you know what your competitors are doing, you can provide solutions for your organization. When your organization strives, you're also thriving as well. And you have to stay relevant. Very, very important. Adaptability and flexibility are ways of staying resilient. Very important. Another thing is having a sense of purpose. Remember, I told you that when I was in university, I always said I always wanted to be a banker. Yes, yes. And that has actually been I've always wanted to be in the finance space, and that has always been I always had a sense of purpose. There's some people that know what they want. Like if you if they come in, they already know that no, I can't. I used to have a colleague that she said that after she was done serving, she said, oh, finance is not for me. I know what I want to do. She left. So it's important that you know what you're doing. Ensure that your work is aligned to your personal goals. Have a big picture. Focus on the big picture. Because that's what keeps you moving. That's what keeps you going. Because when you know that, so let me give an example. Maybe you know very well that in the next 3 years, you want to relocate to Canada. And you know very well that this, where you are right now, will help you. So maybe you're working in the big four, and you know very well, maybe not Canada, maybe in the UK, maybe UK, and you know very well that you need this experience because of where you're going to. If any challenge comes your way, won't you say, okay, no problem, bring it on? I shall know that at the end of the day, this will definitely pass. So it's important that you stay focused. What is it that you're doing? Everybody has a purpose. So you have to sit down and think, what do I really want? Where do I see myself in the next 5 years, next 10 years? Do I have an example of someone that has gone ahead of me? What did that person do to get to where they are? And you can replicate the same thing as well. Thank God that the world is so large now that The world is big. You can learn from people. People are putting all their information out there. So you can actually learn from them and find meaning in your work. Find meaning in your work is very important. Then also, like I said earlier on, that you have to be what? You have to practice gratitude. You have to stay positive, celebrate your wins. It's something I learned from Mrs. Ibuka Awoshika about having your brag list. When things happen to you, write it down. Write it down so that you can always make reference to it. Because trust me, sometimes you actually forget. So you can always make reference to those wins when the chips are down. And I think we've come to the end of this. Resilience is a journey and not a destination. So you have to stay positive and you have to stay fighting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Ogochukwu. This was such an enlightening session. This was such an enlightening session. And I love the fact that you and Dr. Funmi, you guys referred a lot to Mrs. Ibuka Awoshika. You know, it gives this sense of, okay, there's a lot of alignment, and, you know, it gives that sense of, you know, the importance of mentorship in growth and all of that. Thank you very much. So we have some questions in the group chat. We are fast spent with our time, so we'll just read out some of these questions. Yeah, so the first one is, how can I be self-aware? How can I be self-aware? So I think this stemmed from one of your slides when you said that we have to be self-aware as women so that we can be able to manage our emotions. Okay, so if Mrs. Ogochukwu, okay, are you available to answer that question? Okay, so how can I be self-aware? Someone is asking how they can be self-aware.
How you can be self-aware. Okay, so I would say that self-awareness is you. So I would say that there are even some assessments that you can actually take first to even understand who you really are. And I think it's even just even sitting down with yourself, because self-awareness is basically understanding who you really are, really. And it's just sitting down with yourself, and knowing what you really want. So, you know, something like I said earlier on, that there are a lot of distractions right now as we speak. And sometimes we actually don't even sit and listen to and really determine what you really want. So people are basically taking on people's ideas and assuming it, and not people are literally acting the lives of other people. So I would say that there's several self-assessments that you can actually take to even understand who you really are. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What is it that I like? What are the things I don't like? And the thing is, being self-aware, it's with time that you even like it gets better. It gets better as you go on in life. Like there's some things I just realized that, oh, I didn't know that I like yam, but I'm just liking that. So the thing is that you keep getting better with yourself. You get, and sometimes like, and also document. It's very important that you document all these things, because sometimes you might even forget that, oh, okay, I didn't know that this is what I like, or these are the things I like, I don't like. I have to just, you have to take notes of those things so that you're more conscious of it. So I would say that yes, I hope I've been able to answer the question. Dr. Funmi, can you also chip in if you
Thank
have
you, Ma.
any?
Yes. Thank you, Ma.
Okay, yes, for me.
So I would ask Dr. Funmi another question because we
No,
are
I
Okay,
want to
all
touch
right,
on this too, because
all right.
there's something called 16 personalities online. It's a personality test that you can take. There's also, I think Gallup is paid, but I did a Gallup test also, and it just helped me understand where this whole entrepreneurship thing came from in my life. And also many times these personality tests, they are pointers. The truth is, as you grow, you evolve, and you see that your personality 2 years ago is not necessarily who you are today. So because you're self-aware, you know your weaknesses, you're developing them, you know your strengths, you're doubling down on them. And so you see that you're changing over the years. What my personality was 10 years ago is totally different from who I am today, because I am self-aware and I'm consistently growing and outsourcing weaknesses, or saying, oh no, this is my weakness, I have to improve on this area. So yes, to my question.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you very
Mm.
much. Thank you very much, Mrs. Ogochukwu. So I'm going to ask all the questions together because we have a very limited time to be on this call. So the first one or the next one is, how can women support one another when we are all striving to get to the top? So I think Dr. Funmi would take that. Then the next one is it actually possible to balance self-care and work in a 9 to 5 career? Then the last one is, how do we navigate mentorship in building resilience? So Dr. Funmi, please can you take how women can support each other since we are all striving to get to the top? Then can we answer balancing a 9 to 5 career and mentorship together? Thank you.
Okay, so I'm taking balancing 9 to 5 and mentorship also.
Okay.
No, I'm asking that you want me to take that also, or just the first
So
question?
I asked that you take the one of how women can support each other
Okay,
since
okay,
everybody is striving to get to the top.
yeah,
Yes.
okay. All right, so the first thing first is you understand that there is no scarcity. The sky is big enough for everyone. There is no limitation to how big you can grow. You don't become less because you're encouraging someone to become bigger. Your goals, your achievements don't become less as you assist other people. Because I find that the main reason why people do not assist other people in growing is because they feel like theirs will reduce because they help. But you must understand that there's infinite abundance on the earth, abundance of resources, abundance of ideas, abundance of possibilities. And when you have this abundance mindset, you're going to go into the world ready to help anybody, ready to assist anyone to grow. You don't feel like I will dim out because I am lighting your candle. No. And so it starts from there. And then you must understand that the world is interconnected. We're all interconnected. You go around and you see, oh, this person that you were nasty to is your driver's mother's sister. Like, where it is one family here on earth. And so as you help others, you're paving the way. Like, just pay it forward, do something good and kind, and encourage people, help other people grow in business, in career, wherever it is. Up to date, I don't think I really have a career mentor per se. I love people, I read their books online, I follow them. But then I made up my mind that I will be that mentor I haven't found to other people that are coming behind me. And so just always grow in life, knowing that there is more. There is more. I share a business idea with someone and they run with it. There is more. I will get more. And so just help other people, support other people, be that voice that brings life, that brings hope, that brings joy everywhere you are. Hold your sister's hands, hold other people's hands, and just be a part of many growing stories as you grow in life. I hope this answers the question.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The sky is big for every one of us to fly. That's really important. Mrs. Ogochukwu.
Yeah, so my question is, how do I navigate mentorship in building resilience, right? Or is it how do I possible to
How,
balance care, self-care?
yes, how to balance self-care and working in a 9 to 5 career.
Okay. So, self-care like people always think the definition of self-care for some people are totally different. But I would say that self-care is you putting yourself first. Now, you can balance it. I can decide that. So I remember very well where I used to work in Springbank that there's this particular person that once they pay him his salary, he goes to go and spend it. He will buy proper food and take care of himself. Now, it is very possible. So there are different ways. You can decide to take yourself out on what do you call it? Take yourself out to see a movie. You can decide to hang out with your friends, with your family. Self-care is what? Putting yourself first. That's what, and so it's very possible for you to balance your 9 to 5 with self-care. It's very possible. But most fun thing is actually self-care is also exercising. Exercising eating well is self-care. It's self-care. So it's just basically just knowing what you really want, ensuring that even that nothing, if I'm working, my work shouldn't stop my it can all they can all go hand in hand. It can be balanced. It's a way of life. Self-care is a way of life. Yeah. So I hope I've been able to answer that person's question.
Thank you. Yeah,
You're
I hope
welcome.
so. Okay, so let's take the last question, then we get final words from you both. So the last question is, how do we navigate mentorship in building resilience? So Ms. Funmi, please, Dr. Funmi, sorry, apologies for that. Can you take that for us?
So as I mentioned before, I don't have like a mentor per se in my business journey. I have people who I speak with. I have people I learn from. Everywhere I have the opportunity to learn from Mrs. Ibuku Aoshika, I take it. I'm watching her videos online because for me, she depicts the possibilities available to a multi-creative. Also, someone for me that has been like that is Debola Dejikurumi. I learn a lot from her. I learn a lot from her life. I learned how to find the balance that I have now in the different parts, moving parts in my life from her. An NGO, a dental clinic, a fashion business. I learned the whole how to create that structure that nothing is breaking, family is not suffering because of this. I learned that from Debola Dejikurumi. And so but am I necessarily do I see her every time? No. I probably I probably saw her maybe twice last year. But every opportunity I have, when I feel led to take a course or she brings out a course that I feel meets a need that I have presently, I will pay for it. With Mrs. Abukwawashika, I've been to her live series, I've been to her International Women's Leadership Conference 3 times now, but I won't be going this year because it is not on my it doesn't meet the needs that I have presently for this year. So I'm not that person that will just blindly follow wherever you're going, wherever. I'm looking at the needs that I have for the year. I'm looking at what it checks. I know, but I am learning constantly from these women. I also love to listen to Mrs. Jumoke Adenowo because I love the excellence that she brings to. She's excellent. She's confident. She's unapologetically her. I love it. And so I surround myself with people like that. I'm constantly reading books, paying for courses. Oh, the courses I have timetable for how there are some courses I've not finished now. And also I expose myself to this place. So mentorship doesn't necessarily have to be in close proximity. I think that's all I'm saying. Because some people beat themselves up and say there's nobody calling me to check up on me. You will do all right, and you will do all right. You will make progress still. And if you have the Holy Spirit, I mean, which other mentor are you looking for again in this life? Like with all these voices of wisdom around you. So yes, but if you have a mentor, you have to navigate the relationship with wisdom, because I know some people who have close mentors, and you have to be wise because there's still that human dynamic. And so play everything with wisdom. Don't outsource your what will I use? Don't outsource your authority, the authority you have over your life, to your mentor. So despite the fact that they're a voice over you, you're not waiting for them for permission for everything you need to do. You still go ahead and make the moves you need to make. Don't wait for permission in life from anyone, whoever they are, really. Like, go when you need to go, get counsel, yes, get wisdom, yes, but move when you should. And don't let anyone be, because I find that in these climbs there's also a tendency to now begin to idolize your mentor, and then you relegate your own authority and your own. There's a word that I'm trying to find when I find this, but I hope you get it. I love mentorship, chase after it. But if you don't have mentors in your course, read about them. Watch every YouTube video they have. Read every book they've published. Watch every program they've been to that is out on the air, and you'll gain a lot of knowledge and a lot of wisdom.
Thank you very much, Ma. So we're going to be taking our final words from our speakers. Please, 30 seconds each because we are really, really short of time. We've had an amazing session today. Trust me, we've been so blessed and honored to have you both speak to us. Like the wealth of wisdom. I'm sure people on YouTube are actually buzzing with their different emojis and all of that because I personally have learned so much from this session. So please, we want your final words in 30 seconds, just something for us to, take home and, put ahead of us in respect of IWD.
Okay. I would say that, woman, you are more than enough.
Mm.
You are more than enough. You can do so much. Just there's so much inside of you. So all you just need to do is sit down and sit to yourself and let the giant within you arise. And what
Amazing.
Dr. Fumi said, you don't need to have a mentor. Books are more than enough. Thank God for the resources that we have. So just go in there, pay the price, and see you next year, stronger and better.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much, Ma. Dr. Fumi.
Okay, I'd say, as I said before, you are a life force. You are the force of life on earth. And so
Mm.
whatever you do will prosper. Whatever you lay your hands on will prosper. You were made for more. Don't shrink. Don't dim your light to make anyone comfortable. Shine unapologetically. Be who you were born to be in the fullness of it. Take up space. Take up
Wow.
space. And being female is not a stop sign. It's not a stop
Yes.
sign. You can do it. You can have it all in different seasons, but you can have it all. That picture, that dream, you can have it all. So work, woman, you can walk. You are not a damsel in distress. Like you can do it. You
Yes.
can do hard things and do hard things, as Ogochukwu said before. Push yourself harder. Give yourself, challenge yourself to grow. That's it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
Thank
Dr. Funmi Adeniyi. Thank you so much, Mrs. Ogochukwu Mba. So you can engage with our speakers on LinkedIn. Follow Dr. Funmi at Dr. Funmi Adeniyi. Follow Mrs. Ogochukwu at Ogochukwu Michelle Mba. Thank you so much once again for being a part of our International Women's Day event. We really love you. We celebrate you, and we thank you for honoring our invitation once again. Now we've come to the end
Thank you.
of this event. Thank you so much, guys. Remember, it's not just about listening, it's much more about putting what you've heard into practice. So see you guys next year. Bye now.